In 2019, fishermen off the coast of Toyama Prefecture pulled something massive from the water. It was over 5 meters long, had a serpentine body covered in silver scales, and locals immediately started talking about Ryugu no Tsukai, the messenger from the sea god's palace. News crews showed up. Social media exploded with theories. But here's what made it different from every other monster sighting. Scientists confirmed it was real. It was an oarfish, one of the longest bony fish in the ocean. And it's just one of several creatures living in Japan right now that line up perfectly with the country's most famous monster legends. Some of these connections are so specific that you have to wonder if the myths were warnings about real animals all along. The Japanese giant salamander can grow up to 1.5 meters long and weigh over 25 kilograms. It's been around for millions of years, virtually unchanged, lurking in cold mountain streams across Honshu, Shikoku, and Kyushu. The creature has wrinkled, slimy skin, a massive flat head, and tiny eyes that are almost useless in the murky water where it hunts. It moves slowly on land but strikes fast underwater, clamping down on fish and crabs with rows of tiny teeth. Now compare that to descriptions of the Kappa, one of Japan's most enduring yokai. The Kappa is described as a water-dwelling creature with slippery skin, a turtle-like shell, and a taste for cucumbers, but also a reputation for dragging people and animals underwater. In rural areas where giant salamanders were common, nighttime encounters with these massive slippery amphibians would have been genuinely terrifying. Several folklorists have pointed out that Kappa legends are most prevalent in regions where giant salamanders live. The connection becomes even stronger when you consider that giant salamanders secrete a sticky white mucus when threatened, which matches historical accounts of Kappa leaving behind strange residue. The Japanese spider crab has a leg span that can reach nearly 4 meters. It's the largest arthropod on Earth, and it lives in the waters around Japan at depths between 150 and 800 meters. These crabs move slowly across the ocean floor on legs that look disturbingly skeletal, and their bodies are covered in spines and bumps that help them blend into rocky terrain. Fishermen have been pulling them up in nets for centuries, and the experience of seeing one surface, legs unfurling wider than a person, is tall, would have been horrifying before modern marine biology explained what they were. In Japanese folklore, there are multiple accounts of umibozu, massive sea spirits that capsize boats and drag sailors into the deep. While most umibozu descriptions suggest a more amorphous shape, there are regional variations that describe creatures with long-reaching limbs that extend from the depths. Spider crabs are also known to congregate in large groups during mating season, creating underwater scenes of dozens of massive skeletal forms moving together. If nets or debris brought even one to the surface unexpectedly, it's easy to see how stories of sea monsters would spread. The Tsuchinoko is a cryptid that Japan takes seriously. It's described as a snake between 30 and 80 centimeters long, but with a body that's unusually thick in the middle, almost like it swallowed something large. Sightings have been reported for centuries, and some towns have offered cash rewards for proof of its existence. The strange part is that several real snakes in Japan match key aspects of the description. The Japanese rat snake, when it's recently fed, can have a visibly distended midsection. The mamushi pit viper has a thicker body compared to other snakes and moves in a way that can seem almost clumsy on land. There's also the tiger keelback, which flattens its body when threatened, making it appear shorter and wider. None of these perfectly match the Tsuchinoko legend, but all of them offer pieces of it. What makes this one compelling is how localized and consistent the sightings are. People aren't describing wildly different creatures. They're describing the same general thing: a fat snake that doesn't move quite right. Whether it's a misidentified species, an unknown subspecies, or just a well-fed snake having a bad day, the Tsuchinoko remains one of Japan's most plausible cryptids. There's a wasp in Japan called the emerald cockroach wasp, and what it does sounds like something from a horror film. It stings a cockroach twice, first in its midsection to immobilize its legs, then directly into its brain. The venom doesn't kill the cockroach, it removes its ability to control its own movement. The wasp then leads the cockroach by its antenna, like a dog on a leash, back to its burrow. Once inside, the wasp lays an egg on the cockroach's abdomen, and the larva hatches and burrows inside, eating the still living roach from the inside out. This isn't folklore, this is documented biology. Now think about Japanese stories of Tsuchinoko, spirit possession, where a person loses control of their actions and is led around by an external force. There are also tales of parasites or worms that invade the body and change behavior. In a time before microscopes and entomology, witnessing wasp behavior like this, especially on a larger scale, with species that parasitize caterpillars or spiders, would have seemed like literal demonic possession. The victim is alive but no longer in control. It walks where the force directs it. Then something hatches. These wasps exist throughout Japan, and their behavior is so disturbing that it's hard not to see echoes of it in folklore about stolen will and bodily invasion. The Asian giant hornet, found across Japan, is the largest hornet species in the world. It's nearly 5 centimeters long, has a wingspan over 7 centimeters, and its stinger can inject venom that dissolves tissue. A single hornet can kill dozens of honeybees in minutes by decapitating them with its mandibles. A swarm can wipe out an entire hive in hours. For humans, the sting is described as a hot nail being driven into the skin, and if someone is allergic or stung multiple times, the venom can cause kidney failure. Every year, dozens of people in Japan die from hornet attacks. In Japanese folklore, there are demons called oni that are often depicted with insect-like features, bulging eyes, sharp mandibles, and the ability to swarm and destroy. There are also stories of demon wasps, or bee yokai, that attack travelers in the mountains. These aren't abstract monsters. They're descriptions of real encounters with insects large and aggressive enough to be genuinely life-threatening. The giant hornet's aggression peaks in late summer and fall, which aligns with historical accounts of increased yokai activity during those seasons. The connection is straightforward. People were creating stories to explain and warn about something that was actively killing them. The oarfish is a deep-sea creature that can reach lengths of over 11 meters. It has a long, ribbon-like body, a bright red dorsal fin that runs the full length of its back, and it moves through the water in a vertical position, undulating like a snake. Oarfish rarely come to the surface, but when they do, it's usually because they're sick, injured, or dying. In Japanese culture, the oarfish is called Ryugu no Tsukai, and it's considered an omen. Historically, when oarfish washed ashore, people believed earthquakes or tsunamis would follow. There's some debate about whether oarfish actually sense seismic activity, but the association is old and deeply embedded. What's not debatable is that oarfish sightings match perfectly with descriptions of sea serpents. Long, silver, moving in ways that seem unnatural, sometimes with a mane-like fin. Before modern marine science, an oarfish sighting would have been unexplainable. In 2011, dozens of oarfish washed ashore in Japan in the months before the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami. Whether that's coincidence, environmental stress, or something science hasn't fully mapped yet, the legend persists. And every time an oarfish appears, people pay attention. The Bakeneko is a cat yokai that appears in countless Japanese stories. It's said to walk on its hind legs, speak human language, summon fireballs, and sometimes take on human form. According to legend, any cat that lives long enough, grows large enough, or has a tail that forks can become a Bakeneko. While shape-shifting cats are pure myth, the behavior that inspired these stories is not. Cats are nocturnal, and their eyes reflect light in ways that can look eerie or unnatural in the dark. Older cats, especially feral ones, can grow surprisingly large and develop unusual movement patterns, including briefly walking on hind legs when reaching for something. Cats also respond to things humans can't see or hear, staring at empty corners or reacting to ultrasonic frequencies. In traditional Japanese homes with paper walls and wooden structures, a cat moving at night would cast strange shadows and make unsettling sounds. Add in the fact that cats were often kept to control rats, meaning they were both valued and slightly feared, and you have the perfect recipe for supernatural stories. The Bakeneko legend is less about a real creature and more about the uncanny behavior of a familiar one. But that might make it even more effective because it turns something you live with into something you're not sure you can trust. Japan's folklore isn't just a collection of ghost stories, it's a record of how people made sense of a world full of creatures that didn't fit easy explanations. Giant salamanders in the rivers, crabs with legs longer than a human, hornets that could kill you, and fish that appeared before disasters. These weren't fantasies. They were real, and the myths that grew around them were attempts to survive them, understand them, or at least warn the next person. If you want to see where else the line between myth and reality gets blurry, check out the next video. And drop a comment with the weirdest real animal you know that sounds like it shouldn't exist.